Good evening, everyone, and welcome. It's time to call this regular meeting of the San Felipe Del Rio CISD Board of Trustees to order, today being Monday, August 19th, 2024. Mr. Secretary, can you call roll for us, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mesa. Ms. Luna Chavez.
Present.
Mr. Almaraz.
Present.
Mr. Oberfeld.
Present.
Mr. Mesa.
Here.
Mrs. Guanajuato Webb.
Present.
Ms. Haynes.
Here.
Sir, you have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Let the records show that we do have a quorum of board members and that this meeting has been duly called in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. This time we will have opening ceremonies, first with a moment of silence for personal reflection, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. First item we have is we have several people that have signed up for citizens to be heard. First person that we have is Amanda Nicole Martinez. Topic being accountability at administrative level. During our meeting, we allow a certain portion of time for comments from the public. We'll allow for approximately 3 minutes for the person to speak. Again, we want to make sure that we don't include any names or disparage anyone from personal attacks or anything like that. So at this time, we will hear from Amanda Nicole Martinez. Accountability at administrative level is the topic.
Sorry, I'm not used to microphones. So I'm a parent of an 8th grader and a junior here in Del Rio High School, or school district. Though I only have 2 students in school district, I'm also speaking for parents fed up with excuses of all schools district campuses and staff who are not allowed to speak out on their behalf. To say the first week of school had complications would be an understatement. Pass the buck is a great idiom to describe the district's accountability. There are many issues I have questions in the 9 years I've lived in Del Rio, but not one person of the district has accepted responsibility for any problems so far. I realize the chain of command, and after a person gets nowhere with teachers, principals, administration, we as parents have no other option but to tell the board the buck stops here. I spoke to Ms. Sandra Hernandez and Hector Chapa in this lovely air-conditioned building on last Tuesday about the air conditioner problem of the high school and middle school. I find it frustrating that the central office does not suffer like the poor students, teachers, and staff in general. Of course, this excludes the poor receptionist you all have up front, who has had a wall AC and fan set up in her station for over a year. Texas Administrative Code Rule 297.8, Guidelines for Comfort and Minimum Risk Levels, temperature in a room for a typical occupied office classroom environment should keep between 72 and 76 degrees Fahrenheit, and in the summer, and in 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit in the winter, give or take 2 degrees. Some of the classrooms were over 80 degrees this week, and they were not moved. I heard they could be moved, they were not. I want to say I appreciate Mr. Chapa explaining the system and how it works. Luckily, I understand air conditioning systems and how they work. He was very thorough and respectful, but Ms. Hernandez must realize that not all people are uneducated and to not treat others condescendingly. Inquiries are not always hostile. Professionalism is not putting on your game face and blaming another entity. They explained that the air conditioners were inspected in July and passed. Why was someone not turning the systems on a couple of weeks before the school year started to ensure they were working? I realize the schools do not have them on fully in the summer to conserve electricity, though I do think it is wrong to have custodians and maintenance working in the heat, cleaning up after everyone, but I do realize it is what you choose to do. They explain their procedures and issues when issues come up. First, they found out the air conditioner didn't work. They called a contractor, then another. Both said it would be a few weeks before the parts and the services would be available. In my opinion, continue calling more companies.
Time.
Back charge the company. Okay.
Time expired.
Okay.
Would you like to leave the comments and I'll make copies for the board members? If they're
Sure.
written down?
I have plenty of questions, so yes, I have no problem doing that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mhm.
Mr. Chapa, can you get her comments, make copies for me, and then give her phone number, please?
Second person that signed up is Maria Martinez. Topic, concerned parent of Del Rio High School band student practicing in the heat.
Hello, good afternoon. My name's Maria Martinez, and I am here. I am a concerned parent of a Dario. He's in freshman, and he's right now with the band, and I have a niece also playing with Dario High School band, and I've had nieces, nephews already graduated, and we're also in with the Dario High School band. And right now, my concern is this past week we had an incident out there on the courts where they practice. A student collapsed from a heat stroke. She ended up in ER. Thankfully she's okay right now. But the concern. My concern right now is the way this incident was taken care of at the moment. Medical responders never were called in to the site. She was taken by her parents to ER, and parents were notified by other students, not a teacher, a head band director. And it's an issue that I wanted to point out. These students have been practicing. They have a summer camp before school starts. They started 2 weeks before school started, and we're out there most of the day, which was maybe from 8:30 to 3:30. Practicing out there on the courts, direct sunlight and heat. Coming today, this afternoon, I saw a heat advisory for tomorrow and Wednesday for the city, and it concerns me, having to have my son out there practicing under the direct sunlight. I know there was a post that directors are on. The temperatures, they're monitoring closely those temperatures. But like I said, these students have been practicing out there from years ago, many years ago, and these heat temperatures are not getting any better. So something has to be done, whether they're taken indoors to practice if possible, or something is built out there to protect them from direct sunlight, to prevent, any other major issues, and have the district go through something that nobody would desire. Okay, that's just my point that I wanted to bring out this afternoon.
3 minutes, you're up.
I appreciate y'all's
Thank you.
opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mesa?
Dr. Rios?
Just a note that We are aware of the heat advisory. Earlier this afternoon, a couple of hours ago, I visited with the athletic director and the fine arts director, and I asked them to cancel all practices in the afternoon. We had some activities at practice in the morning, but anything after 12 that's outdoors needed to get canceled, except for the pool, because obviously they're in the water. But other than that, there should not be any practices tomorrow and Thursday, and we will continue to meet as a group to make sure that all the appropriate practices are in place to safeguard our kids, because it is a big concern, and thank you for speaking on that.
I want to thank the speakers again. The board doesn't respond to public comments, but we take all information to consideration. And again, I wish I could tell you the detailed information that we've so far have done regarding air conditioning. But again, thank you for the comments. Normally, again, the reason we don't respond is because for the sake of time, sometimes our agendas are very long. And so we take every comment seriously, and we consider all information brought to us.
I'll visit with that parent.
Yes, and Dr. Rios will visit with the parents to follow up. Next item we have is reports, item 8 on our agenda. The first item is insurance updates. Amy Childress.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. This evening, we have with us Ms. Alexa Young from our insurance consultants, Brown & Brown, to provide us with a medical insurance update.
Sorry, I'm a little bit taller. There we go. Alrighty, hi, my name is Lexi Young. Normally Greg is here to present our insurance updates, but as y'all are aware, he has retired. He's currently in Colorado right now, so this will be my first time doing the insurance updates for y'all. So if you have any questions, please let me know if there's a particular topic that I did not touch upon, but thank y'all for having me here today. Some of this information is going to be information that we have gone over already, so we are just kind of going to be revisiting how we got to where we're currently at. So as you can see over the last several years, you can see the trend that we've had with the medical plans here at Del Rio. Originally, when we had our last year with Aetna, our plans were running, sorry, it's kind of hard for me to see it on this screen. We were running at $889.05 as our per employee per month cost before we changed over to our self-funded medical plan. And we did dip down to that $764.69 number in 2022. It did go up for 2023, but I expect that the reason for that is that our employees were able to get the medical care that they needed based on the plan that we had in place. Currently, year-to-date for 2024, we are running at $756.73 per employee per month. We are actually having a pretty decent year, but some of our claims have been delayed because of a software processing, which you'll be able to see on the information presented further in this slide. I'm not going to touch base on every single month, but you'll be able to see on the information provided to you the claims that were paid. Some months are a little bit larger than others, and again, that's because we're processing claims manually at the moment, but the auto adjudication for those claims should be happening pretty smoothly now with Kempton. Moving on. So again, this is kind of those numbers a little bit more broken down. We have our medical cost, our claims cost per employee per month, our pharmacy cost per employee per month, our fixed costs, and then our totals and kind of where we have been from year to year. We're currently down 6% this year, but again, we're kind of expecting some more claims to come in. The next slide is going to be just a refresher on our 2023 financial results. You're going to be able to see those fixed costs, the claims paid, The rebates we received on the pharmacy and what our end of year per employee per month cost was, that's going to be that 836.73 number highlighted in yellow. We'll also be able to see the revenues and deficits that we experienced on the plan due to the claims that we had coming in. The next page is going to be 2024 year to date. So this data is going to be through June. We have not yet received the July report from Kempton, so I'll be able to provide that information hopefully next week. So you can see in May, our per employee per month cost was actually $1,600. So this is going to be where we experienced those claims that were being manually processed and the delay in those claims. And many of those claims were actually from previous months, but were paid in this month after they confirmed that the auto adjudication with the new software was working properly. So you can see that that month was very expensive. Currently for June, we were running at $672.35. Our projections as of right now have us at $790.30 per employee per month for 2024. But of course, we'll have to see how the rest of the claims come in. But given what the district wanted to see happen this year with our medical costs, we decided to go out and shop fully insured medical plans. So again, just revisiting on those projected costs that Greg had discussed when he was back here in April, we're seeing a lot of healthcare costs go up due to prescriptions. A lot of that is going to be related to the GLP-1 drugs. So those are going to be your Ozempics, your Mounjaros, and that's going to be for our diabetic population. And we have seen a huge increase in that thanks to, again, people going out and getting the care that they need based on the plan that we have provided, but also social media. It's very popular right now for the Ozempic and the Mounjaros, and people have been trying to find a way to get that drug, even if they don't necessarily qualify. But the FDA did finally regulate it to where it did have to be a type 2 diabetic diagnosis. But again, we do have a large population of diabetes here in Del Rio, and so we have seen a lot of cost increase due to these drugs, which run about $1,000 a month. So, I mean, a single person, that's $12,000 a year just for those claims. And we see that increase going up by 8.5% overall for 2024, but we do see it going higher in 2025. So with the anticipated costs that we have for 2024 for the claims, we do see that we also have a lot of transplants. We have members who are eligible for transplants, and those are going to be $200,000 to $300,000 claims. Easy. We do try to get ahead of that with Fiduciary Health Systems. They have worked wonderful with us to help kind of get ahead of those and get pricing agreements in place in case those happen before the end of the year to help save the district money. So we are making sure that we are keeping a very close eye on those transplant members. Okay. So this is our original, or Greg's original projection for 2024. As you can see, we are looking at a per employee per month cost of $918. Given the claims, given the transplants, given the diabetic population, given the other diagnoses that we have within the population, we are expecting a pretty significant increase in claims for 2024. So on the next page, just to give y'all the number, we are expecting the cost to increase to almost $15 million for the claims. Right now for 2023, I believe it would be, no, sorry. It would be, it would leave the district in a deficit of $2.5 million, which of course we do not want to do, and why we ended up going out and shopping for our fully insured medical plans.
Sorry, Lexi.
Yes, sir.
Just so that we don't lose the opportunity. Based on the contributions that the Board of Trustees makes every month, Mr. Mesa and board members, and based on the fund balance that we had, we have predicted that we would be in a deficit. We didn't predict 2.5. We predicted right around 2 million. So we had planned for that, but it was also going to exhaust our fund balance for the fully funded plan. So now it's going to exhaust it plus $500,000 that Ms. Childress will have to help us provide for it. And we're confident that we can cover it, but this will be the first time in the history of this team of 8 that the health fund would be in such a deficit. So switching to a fully funded plan versus a self-funded plan is not only timely, it's necessary.
If I may ask, Dr. Rios, so January is the start of the new year with insurance.
Yes, Mr. Mesa, we will ask y'all to approve it today just so that we can begin the transition, but it will not transition until January 1.
Okay. And then on these Wyobi and Ozempic and all these drugs that are costly, they're being prescribed only if and when they're diabetics, correct?
Correct. Yes, sir. So because of that deficit, we went out and shopped fully insured plans. So originally, I sent a request out to Aetna, United Healthcare, and Blue Cross Blue Shield asking for a quote. Because of the claims experience here at the district, both Aetna and United Healthcare declined to quote. But Blue Cross Blue Shield did actually come back with a fantastic quote for us, some savings definitely, and we'll go over that in a little bit more detail. But we are offering or recommending 3 different plans. This is going to give members a little bit more choice in the options available to them as we move to a fully insured plan, no longer with Kimpton. I know that some of the members are going to be upset when we move, but we are trying to do what's best by them. And we were asked by the district and the board to find plans similar to TRS and ERS, and so that's what we are going to go over today. So here on this next page, you're going to see the current plan with the Kimpton Group, and then you are going to see the 3 plans that we are recommending. So right now, we are recommending the HMO 2500 plan. This is going to be the $2,500 deductible for employee only with a max out-of-pocket of $8,000. This is obviously an increase from where we are currently at. We did decide on an HMO because it is lower in cost. It is a more narrow network, but we are pretty confident that we aren't going to really experience disruption. I know that we ran a disruption report with Blue Cross Blue Shield, and it looked very good when it came to the doctors and the providers that members with the district are currently seeing. The second plan is the HMO 1200 plan. This is going to be one where members could choose to pay additional premium to be on a higher tiered plan. This will be an employee-only the employee-only deductible of $1,200 with a max out-of-pocket of $6,900. And then the PPO plan, where everything goes towards the max out-of-pocket of $2,000 for an employee and then $6,000 for family. Now, that PPO plan is going to be one of the ones that is similar to ERS, and then the 2 HMO plans are similar to what is offered by TRS. I know that there also has been concern about prescriptions. So on the next page, and well, actually, Dr. Rios, let me ask you, is there anything in particular extra that we want to touch base on? Do we have questions on how these plans compare to Kimpton? Anything in particular? Because I know that we have a lot of extras with Kimpton. We have the diabetes management program. We have the KPP free. So on the medical benefits themselves, if we have questions or concerns on how that's going to translate over to Blue Cross Blue Shield, I'm more than happy to answer them.
I just want to make sure that employees know about the GAP plan because, again,
Absolutely.
they've got to be informed that it's going to be an added cost to them. But
Yes, sir.
the deductibles are a concern to me because they're high.
100%, and we agree with you, which is why we also went out and shopped those GAP plans, and that's going to come just in a couple of slides.
And then the other issue is, I know that as board members, we're always concerned with existing conditions and the transfer over that, these people that are being treated by certain specialists continues.
So there is a concern on HMO plans. Members usually do get concerned with their interactions with their specialists. They're like, well, I already have a specialist that I'm currently seeing. Do I have to go see a primary care doctor to get a referral to go see my specialist? So Blue Cross Blue Shield has what they have called transition of care forms, which we're going to make sure that we have. And all the member has to do is fill out that form and submit it to Blue Cross Blue Shield, so that way they don't have to do that primary care physician visit in order to see their specialist. They can just continue to go to their specialist as they've currently been doing.
Okay, good.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Rios?
Mr. Mesa, board members, something that all of our employees need to be aware of, and we're going to make sure that we give them examples, is based on the drugs that they're being prescribed. So, for example, if they're on a tier 3 type of medication, it's important that they recognize that it's a 50% copay on the drug itself.
That would be 50% of the allowable.
Of the allowable.
Yes.
Right. And so they have to be able to make that calculation. We're confident that pre-existing conditions will be covered. But those drugs, that's what has me worried that the employees may not understand, and they may choose a cheaper plan just because we're paying the cheaper plan at 100%. But then they're going to end up paying more on prescription drugs. So we, the HR department, has to do above and beyond on explaining the prescriptions. And that's my biggest concern for our employees, that they might just say, okay, zero copay, let me go with this one. But then when they end up paying the bill for all the medication, either they're not going to be able to afford it and have to settle for a tier 1 or tier 2 drug, and that's just not what they need. So we just need to start openly talking about that and providing them information. I know that we asked Alexi to provide us a report on what type of drugs would cost so much for the employee, and we hope to have that in place before the open registration.
Yes. I have sent out a request. So the original request that I sent out to Blue Cross Blue Shield was a list of 23,000 prescriptions that were filled in the last 12 months. Blue Cross Blue Shield did go through and mark every one of those prescriptions and what field or what tier it would fall under. So we did get that data first, and then we started to break it down by how much the copay would be on each plan. So the next 2 slides, the first will be our tier 1 drugs. They actually all ended up being tier 1 drugs. Those are going to be the drugs that the most claims were filed on, the top 20 drugs that the most claims were filed on in the last 12 months. So we'll go over that. And then the next page is going to be the highest cost drugs. So these are going to be the highest cost drugs that members had to pay out of pocket for while on the Kempton plan. So those 20 high cost drugs I did send back to Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I asked them for the approximate, they may not be able to give me the exact, but the approximation of what that copayment will look like under the percentage copayment. So I will have that information hopefully by tomorrow or the day after, and I will forward it down to our HR department to be shared with you all. So I'm sorry that I did not get that information back from Blue Cross Blue Shield prior to this meeting, but they are working on it.
Good.
So on the next page, again, these are going to be the top 20 prescription claims in the last 12 months. It was a $0 copay while we were with the Kempton Group, but again, we were asked to model plans after TRS and ERS. And so those copayments on the HMO 2500 and the HMO 1200 are going to be a $15 copay. And then on the PPO $0 copay is going to be $10. Okay. The next page is going to be our top 20 prescriptions by cost in the last 12 months. So these are going to be our most expensive drugs that members had to pay out of pocket for. So you can see oh, I spelled Kempton wrong, sorry, I'm missing an N. The Kempton member copay, what they paid out of pocket. Now, unfortunately, the only one that I have the tier 1 under, you can see the member originally paid $200 out of pocket because of where it fell on the Kempton formulary, but where it falls on the Blue Cross Blue Shield formulary, we have that $15 copay on the first 2 plans and $10 copay on the PPO plan. But again, once I have additional information on the percentage copayments, I'll be able to provide that to you all. But on the PPO copay plan, you can see that the $35 or the $60 copay covers the majority of these drugs. So I don't imagine how much more expensive that these are going to be on those percentage co-payments, because again, it's going to be the allowable, it's not going to be the full cost of the drug that they'll be paying the percentage co-payment on. But again, as soon as I have that information, I will make sure that y'all have it so we can make an informed comparison. On the next page, this is going to be option number 1 of a GAP plan. So the GAP plan, as Mr. Mesa had previously mentioned, is a way to basically bridge the gap of the deductible. So it is a way for members to be reimbursed for some of their out-of-pocket costs towards their deductible. These are going to be, for Zurich, it's going to be an inpatient benefit of $2,500 for individuals and $5,000 for families. So these are when people are admitted to the hospital. So these are going to be overnight admissions. We know that when we end up in the emergency room and we are admitted overnight and we're going to be there for a few days, we know we're going to hit our deductible. Or if we have a procedure where we know we're going to be in the hospital for a few days recovering after that procedure, we know we're going to hit that deductible. So if members are are expecting those costs this upcoming year or expecting a surgery this upcoming year that they know that they're going to be inpatient for, this plan is going to be a great way for them to bridge the gap of that deductible and make sure that they can pay it up front. I'm not up front, but be reimbursed for it. There's also an outpatient benefit of $1,500 per occurrence. So again, if we have an outpatient surgery and we're going in and we're out the same day, they have a $1,500 per occurrence and they get 2 per year, and then $1,500 per occurrence if it's a family plan. So that'll be $400 or 4 times per year on a family plan. There is no policy deductible. Some GAP plans have a deductible that you have to hit before they start to reimburse you, but there is no policy deductible on this plan. So you will see there are 2 different styles of rates here that we can choose from. Some are going to be based on age, and then the composite rates would be what we would see of just a simple 4-tiered employee, employee plus spouse, employee plus children, just the 4 rates rather than it being age banded. So we do have the choice there. Now, obviously, that's going to be kind of a medium between the under 40 and the 50 plus. So it's really what the district thinks is best for its members.
Lexi, may I ask a question here?
Yes, sir.
Is there an open enrollment period? Is there a deadline for them to sign up for the GAP plan?
It'll be during our regular open enrollment period that we have every year. It will work like any other benefit that we offer through the benefits program here at Del Rio, that members can sign up during their open enrollment period. It falls under the same rules of a qualifying life event to be able to make any changes, but that would be if they gained coverage maybe through a spouse on a different GAP plan to where they could drop it if they wanted to, or if the spouse lost coverage and they wanted to hop on the GAP plan here, but it would fall under a normal open enrollment like any of our other benefits.
Because most of the time, if someone all of a sudden gets diagnosed with something critical and they want to change their plan and increase that to, lower the cost of deductibles and so forth.
I completely understand that, but unfortunately, it does work like any other plan. And I'll say that in comparison to the cancer plan. If everybody signed up for the cancer plan after they were diagnosed, these cancer plans wouldn't exist because the companies that offer them would pay everything out and go under. So
I
that's
understand.
unfortunately why we have the pre-existing limitations. The next is going to be the Voya Protect plan. Now, the Voya Protect plan isn't necessarily a true GAP plan. It's kind of a mix between a GAP plan and the accident plan. So if you're familiar with the accident plan, for example, let's say I am in the kitchen cooking, which I do every night, and I slice my hand open and I have to go to the urgent care and get stitches. Depending on how deep that cut is, how many stitches I needed, the accident plan would pay me out up to $400 for a laceration. So the Voya Protect plan actually breaks up its benefits in the moderate, severe, and catastrophic benefit categories. So based on we're just going to go off of the value plan. If we had a moderate benefit injury or illness, so that's going to be simple fractures, lacerations, kidney stones, dehydration, with a visit to the ER or urgent care, that's going to be a $200 payout for moderate. For severe benefits, that's going to be like appendicitis, compound fractures, pulmonary embolisms, torn ACLs. That'll be a $750 benefit. The catastrophic benefit, that'll be life-threatening conditions that require immediate medical intervention. That's going to be lung cancer, heart attack, stroke, organ failures. Like, again, the big benefits. On the moderate plan, that would be a $3,000 payout. And the coverage does not coordinate with the medical plan, but benefits can be paid by the benefit category with the upload of a photo with the claim, with the explanation of benefits for that date of service. You can file a claim. Now, they will have 3 options that they can choose from when they enroll in this plan. It'll be the Value, Enhanced, and Premier. So again, you can see those cost differences between the different plans, and members will be able to plan based on kind of what they may expect for this upcoming year. But again, it's a little bit different from a GAP plan. It's kind of, again, a mix between a GAP plan and an accident plan, and it gives members reimbursements for those minor injuries also, not just the major inpatient and outpatient visits. So I wanted to bring, we actually have this running at another school district right now, and so I just kind of wanted to bring this option to you as well. Both options are great options. I know people are very familiar with GAP plans in general, so this is going to be a little bit different. But there's also no limitations on the moderate and severe benefits. Those claims can be filed as many times as need be throughout the plan year. There is a limitation of 3 on the catastrophic, though. Any questions on the Zurich plan or the Voya Protect plan?
Board members, any questions?
Okay.
Yeah.
So the last slide is going to be the district contribution options just on the medical plan. So on our current contributions, we are at $640.01 per employee per month. With the options that were presented to us by Blue Cross Blue Shield, that will actually go down to $460.67 per employee per month, and that will be 100% of the employee-only cost on the HMO 2500 plan. So we do see about a $2 million cost savings between where we're currently are and where we will be, or could be, on the Blue Cross Blue Shield plan. Also, I want to note that the Blue Cross Blue Shield proposal came with a 9.5% rate cap for 2026. So that means worst case scenario, as long as our enrollments don't change by more than 10%, the most increase that we would get for 2026 is going to be 9.5%. So that at least gives us some guarantee on expected cost increases for 2026, knowing that we're not going to go above that percentage increase. And then we also were given a $250,000 credit from Blue Cross Blue Shield that would be applied to the bill in the first 60 days of the plan year.
Dr. Rios?
Just for clarification, the annual cost that you share up there for the current contributions, that's based on the actual contributions, not
Correct.
the actual expenses, correct?
Correct. Yes, sir.
So we have to note that there's an approximate $2 million savings, 2.5, but that doesn't count the savings that we see from the deficit.
Correct. With
So
the
in
claims.
reality, if we were under that plan this year, the savings would be more closer to 5 million.
Possibly, yes. I'd have to run the numbers to
Yeah.
be able to better speak on that. But yes, we will have more savings above what we are paying in on contributions.
So that, the savings, unfortunately, has lesser benefits for all of our employees, but you can see where 5 million a year is something that we couldn't sustain.
Okay. That's currently it for me. Did we have any additional questions?
We're just, I know that in the past, we've communicated to our employees that we're trying to do our best and provide 100% of health insurance, but every year costs go up. So every time I get a chance and talk to teachers at Convocation or wherever, I let them know that eventually they're going to have to pay a certain share. And I hope that they can get some good explanation about the GAP plan, because that'll be the contribution that they'll have to, again, pay
Yeah.
to get those deductibles down because they're pretty high right now.
Yes, sir. And I do, just kind of on a personal note, what we've been doing with Kempton, I believe in it 100%. Everything that we've been doing and the care that our members have received, honestly, this district has made me love what I do because of the self-funded plan that we have been running here. And I know it is a huge and difficult decision to have to change from our self-funded plan to a fully insured Blue Cross Blue Shield plan because of the care that our members have been able to receive. And I just want y'all to know that the only thing that we have is the best intention for every employee here. We went out and sought the medical plans that we were looking for on, the fully insured. I have had conversations with Dr. Artie from Complete Medicine, the diabetes program that we have been running here through the Kempton plan. Unfortunately, she does not accept Blue Cross Blue Shield, but she is willing to work with us on some kind of cost savings for our members already enrolled, so that way they can continue with her. After they leave here, there's also, after we move the plan. Also there's the flexible spending account that I will be highlighting during the open enrollment because that is another way to bridge the gap. You can fund that flexible spending account with that deductible money essentially, just like you would with paying the premium on that gap plan. So there are other ways that we can help those members bridge the gap, and I plan on making sure to go over those in detail when we end up doing those open enrollment meetings. So at the end of the day, we just want to do what's best for Del Rio and its employees, and we're very thankful for the partnership that we've had with the district.
Well, thank you very much for letting us know about that because I know that diabetic patients were taking advantage of the telemedicine available for them.
Yes, sir.
To be able to get information that is needed, very much needed for
Yes, sir.
our employees to be able to do well with their diets and health. So, anyone else with a question? Yes, Mr. Webb.
First of all, thank you. Thank you for all the information you have
Yes, ma'am.
provided for us. Is there anything, or have you researched anything having to do with glaucoma medication?
Unfortunately, I have not, but if you have a particular concern about a particular prescription, please, Dr. Rios has my email, or I can give it to you. Just send me your concerns, and I'm more than happy to talk to Blue Cross Blue Shield and ask for some more information on that.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We continue with reports. Item 8B, facilities and construction update. Mr. Hector Chapa.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, members of the board. Tonight's presentation will provide an update for the electrical bus deployment as well as the relocation of food service department. Currently, the electrical bus deployment has been completed. We did run into an issue with the vendor implementation of the software. They're still working on it. However, all the chargers are working, with the exception of 6 of the rapid chargers, where even though they do work, after the initial charge of the day, or after each charge, the staff has to reboot the charger in order to use it once more in the same day. The vendor is working through that with the engineering department, their engineering department, to come up with the solution. The relocation of food service department has been completed, and staff has already been moved in as of last week. I'll proceed to the ticket summaries. Maintenance department work order status. This past 90 days, the department created 1,027 tickets, of which 844 had been completed for a total completion rate of 82. Because of the projects that the department has worked throughout the summer, they have encountered a low completion rates on the 0 to 15 days. But on the other days, 16 to 30 and all the way to 90, They're at 84, 79%, and 92%. The technology department created 2,491 tickets during the 90-day period. 2,456 are been closed for a completion rate of 99%. Basically high 90s the rest of the working number, or days rather. Transportation, they have created 162 tickets. 153 have been closed for a completion rate of 94%. Same scenario, high numbers on the breakdowns on the number of days. Any questions?
Questions from board members? Mr. Chapa, there's an item on our agenda here concerning the old buses. So my question is, once these all electrical buses go 100%, do we still have some that buses, extra buses that could be put in place in case there's some electrical issue with the new ones? And I'll have, thank you for coming up to the podium, sir.
Yes.
Mr. Thomas Cabello.
Good evening, Dr. Rios, Mr. Mesa, members of the boards. And the answer to your question is yes, sir. We have 7 sub buses. That was always in the plan. So we have our 34 regular route buses, 7 special ed buses, our 4 travel buses, and then on top of that, we have 6 regular sub buses and 1 sub bus for special education. And that's not including the 19 that is scheduled to be scrapped hopefully soon.
Okay. Any questions from board members? Again, there's an item on our agenda that deals with that later on. I just want to make sure we have backup buses in case, glitch comes on with the new buses.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Chapa? No, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, next item will be our consent agenda. Again, one action will approve all items on the consent agenda. There are some minutes of some meetings, regular meetings, and special call board meetings. If there's any corrections to the minutes, or if there's any question pertaining to any item under consent, now's the time to ask.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Orfeld.
F6.
F6.
School supplies.
Okay. Consideration to approve a purchase order over $25,000 in the amount not to exceed $105,000, funding source 220 Title V and Part B, to purchase school supplies for students in kindergarten through 8th grade. Dr. Rios.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mesa. For the past, I believe, 2 years, we were asked to provide school supplies to reduce the burden on parents. Because of the availability of ESSER funds, we were able to do it all at once, but ESSER funds are no longer available. Again, we were asked to consider providing supplies. So we came up with a plan to do it in 2 increments. We would do 105,000 at the beginning of the year, and then try to do another 90 or 100,000 at the second semester. By then, we would complete our audit and know how much funds the board had available. So the purpose of this 105,000 is just to reduce the list of back-to-school supplies that we pass on the cost burden to the parents.
Okay. I guess the question is, a week in already, and I've seen on different sites and stuff where the stuff wasn't there or wasn't available yet for teachers to pass out. So they didn't have their composition books particularly in your secondary, to start off with. So we're just barely going to start, barely approving the PO to start putting these things in the classroom.
No, Mr. Overfelt, all this has been ordered, but for the purpose of our audit, we need to show the auditor in November when they come to the audit that the board did take appropriate action. Let me ask Ms. Childress. Ms. Childress, can you come up to the podium?
Well, I guess really just the question that I'm curious about is, why would I hear remarks that the things we told parents that we were going to provide, the students haven't got them, that the teachers don't have them to hand out?
That's what I want Ms. Childress to help me out. We said that they would have them late last week or early this week, correct?
Yes, due to the quantities, we didn't have everything in the warehouse, so we did have to put out orders from our vendors in order to obtain. But they should be, it's my understanding, I'd have to check with Ms. Villarreal, but they should be being delivered or by.
By the time we decided, I think to more clearly answer your question, by the time we decided how much money we would have available to spend, because this is above and beyond what we budgeted and what the board approved in June, by the time we decided what money we could use, and by the time we took the bids and ordered it, it was, like she said, it wasn't in the warehouse, so we couldn't do it. I wish we would have had this conversation in June, and that we would have done a better job, and perhaps it could have happened. But they should, some schools should have it already, or if not, we'll definitely have it by the middle of this week.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Are there any other items that need to be brought up? I just want to mention again, we're appreciative to every organization that donates to the school district or different programs in the school district. So again, all donations, again, are acknowledged. Dr. Rios, will they be posted up on social media again?
Yes, sir, they were already posted this morning.
Okay. All donations have been posted in social media. Again, thank you for donating items to the different programs and different areas of our district. If there's no other questions from board members, I will entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda. There's a motion from Mrs. Webb, seconded by Mr. Almaraz. All those in favor? Motion carries. Consent agenda is approved. And if there's no objection, we have an out-of-town person. We have Lexi Young here from the medical health plan. If we could move up 14A, consideration to approve request for proposal for San Felipe Del Rio CISD medical benefit plan. Amy Childress.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. This item would be to approve the request for proposal that was put out by Brown & Brown for the medical insurance. It would be with our Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas, and we would offer the 3 plans that were discussed in the report this evening. Also, just so you know, we would be giving notice September 1st to our current carriers through Kempton. This plan would not start until January 1st, but we do usually have to provide a minimum of 90 days notice. We do have open enrollment scheduled for October 7th through October 18th. The 7th through the 11th will be a live enrollment with agents here, and then the remainder will be where employees could just call and speak to a representative. And we also are scheduled the week of September 23rd through the 26th, I believe, to go out to the individual campuses and departments and to provide presentations to the employees to inform them of the different plans, the GAP plan, how to enroll, and the changes that will occur. And we will share all of that. We'll share that schedule with you.
Great. Do we have any questions for Amy Childress from board members?
When did the live start?
The live will start October 7th. I believe it's the 7th through the 11th.
And that'll be based here?
Yes, sir.
And will they be here After 5 p.m.?
We can,
That is not something that we've normally done in the past, but if the district feels that it's necessary to accommodate this change, we will make it happen.
Okay.
Any other question? Hearing none. Recommendation, please.
sure. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the request for proposal for San Felipe Del Rio CISD medical plan as presented.
For the recommendation, is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Mr. Galindo, second by Mrs. Webb. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Go back again to administration, item 10A. Consideration to approve the disposal of school district property, school buses in compliance with 2022 EPA Clean School Bus Rebates Program. Sandra Edmonds.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. In compliance with the 2022 EPA Clean School Bus Rebates Program, the district is required to scrap the old buses in the current fleet that are being replaced by the electric buses in the new fleet. So each bus will be scrapped and destroyed in accordance with the EPA CBS requirement. And this includes the destruction of engines and chassis rails with VIN numbers. The district will utilize the salvage yard to complete the required actions. And attached in this memo is a breakdown of the estimated deductions, and you'll see the closeout rebate, the processes that will be taken for the scrapping. And I do have Mr. Cabello here available who can provide a little bit more information in terms of the scrapping.
Questions from board members? Ms. Rofel.
Once they're scrapped, we can't claim the monetary value of the money. I mean, the monetary value of the metal that's in them.
Yes, sir, we will get some
Yes.
money
Do?
for that.
Okay.
Okay. I guess my only question is, will there be some recording of it? I understand that something will happen to the engine, blah, blah, but do we have a recording as it happens, or Mr. Camillo?
Once again, good evening, Dr. Rios, Mr. Mesa, members of the board. Yes, sir. So I actually have to provide pictures of every bus. So the way it will work, as Mr. King explained it to me, as we take the buses or as they arrive at the Crown Recycling, he will flip the bus on its side, making the underbelly visible, which would make the engine and the chassis visible. And he will use, I'm sure there's a proper word, but some very big shears, hydraulic shears, and he will slice through the engine and slice through the chassis. Those two actions meet the requirement of the grant, and I will take pictures of each of the bus as he's doing that and upload it through a website that has already been shared to us. He says that that process will take no more than 5 minutes per bus. Now, that's just the shearing action now. The actual scrapping, that's on their time later.
Okay. Just want to make sure that, you know, we, whatever compliance requirements are, that we meet all the requirements. Okay. Any other questions from board members? And recommendation, please.
Yes, sir. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the disposal of school district property, the school buses in compliance with the requirements of the 2022 EPA Clean School Bus Rebates Program as presented.
So there will be a total of 19 buses.
Correct, 19 buses.
Okay. You've heard the recommendation. I'll entertain a motion for approval. Motion made by Becky Chavez, seconded by Mr. Orfeld. All those in favor? Motion's approved. Again, we thank you for the grant that we received for clean buses, and hope that everything goes well in regard to the disposal.
Thank you, sir.
Next item we have is administration, item 10B, consideration to approve first reading of TASB Localized Policy Manual Update 123, affecting policies BBD, local, and BBF local, FA local, BKC, CKEA, and CQC, policy DCE, and DEC. Sandra Hernandez.
Thank you, sir. Good evening once again. This evening, I'll be presenting the first reading of TASB Localized Policy Manual Update 123. We are bringing 7 policy drafts forward for the first reading. The Policy Review Committee met on Wednesday, August the 7th, to review the policy drafts, and they are as follows. The new language to BBD local has been included to address required Public Information Act training if a board member receives a written notice of a violation from the Attorney General. The language in BBFA local is recommended to clarify that a trustee's ethical duty to disclose a financial or other personal interest in board transaction goes by the statutory conflicts of interest set out in state and federal law. A section in CKC local on notice regarding violent activity is recommended to comply with legal requirements. Administrative procedures must be created to align with the TEA's model standards. Significant revisions to CKEA local are recommended to the CKE policy series to promote compliance and clarification with House Bill 3 and other legal requirements. A new local policy, CQC local, is recommended to meet the legal requirement for the board to adopt a policy for the effective integration of digital devices in the district. The policy language adopts the model health and safety guidelines developed by TEA and the Health and Human Services Commission, and clarifies that the superintendent must develop regulations for its implementation. The DCE local has been revised to state the positions on a list approved by the board, which will be presented later this evening, will receive non-Chapter 21 contracts. This list will be presented, as I mentioned, in a separate agenda. Based on the information provided by the administration to address new requirements under House Bill 471, the enclosed revisions under DEC local are recommended to add required provisions regarding a line of duty illness or injury leave for police officers. And these are the 7 policy drafts that we reviewed in the Board Policy Review Committee meeting. Do you have any questions?
Thank you for reminding the board that these policies, again, updates have gone through a committee of board members, and detailed information has been provided. So again, we have all these meetings that have been brought up to the committee. If there's any questions from board members, now is the time to ask. Okay, hearing none, recommendation, please.
Yes, sir. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the first reading of TASB Localized Policy Manual Update 123, affecting policies BBD local, board members, training and orientation, BBFA local, ethics, conflict of interest disclosures, CKC local, training and, safety program risk management, emergency plans, CKEA local, security personnel, commissioned peace officers, CQC local, technology resources, equipment, DCE local, employment practices, other types of contracts, and DEC local, compensation and benefits, leaves and absences as presented.
Thank you. That's a long recommendation, but thank you.
Long list.
So many policies.
Yes, sir.
Hearing, again, the recommendation, I'll entertain a motion for approval. Motion made by Mrs. Webb, second by Amy Haynes. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item we have is curriculum instruction. Item 11A, consideration to approve the 2024-2025 Memorandum of Understanding between San Felipe SFDR-CISD and Valverde Training Center, VVTC, in connection with the VCT ACE grant. Jane Villarreal.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Mesa, Dr. Rios, members of the board. This item is for the consideration to approve the 24-25 Memorandum of Understanding between San Felipe Del Rio CISD and the Valverde Training Center in connection with the Valverde Training Center ACE grant. The Valverde Training Center is in its 4th year of implementing the 21st Century ACE grant, and students enrolled at Buena Vista and Ceniza Hills Elementary School are eligible to participate in that after-school and summer program. This program offers interventions for academics, along with enrichment and social support for the students and families that are enrolled in that program. In your board packet, you'll find the items or the activities that are outlined in the memorandum. It lists the activities that the Valverde Training Center will provide, as well as the responsibilities for San Felipe Del Rio CISD.
Questions from board members?
Yes, sir.
Hearing none. Again, this is the after-school program for the 2 designated schools, Buena Vista, Ceniza Hills. Hearing no questions, could you read the recommendation from administration?
Yes, sir. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the 24-25 Memorandum of Understanding between San Felipe Del Rio CISD and the Valverde Training Center as presented, and allow Dr. Rios to sign the agreement.
Heard the recommendation, I'll entertain a motion for approval. Motion made by Becky Chavez, seconded by Mr. Overfelt. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item we have is under Business and Finance. Item 13A, consideration to approve the appraisal roll and tax collection certification by Tax Assessor Collector Amy Childress.
Good.
Amy's not the Tax Assessor Collector.
No. Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. The next 3 agenda items all have to do with our tax rates that we will be setting this evening. The first one is the Chief Appraiser of Valverde County Appraisal District has certified and submitted the appraisal roll as approved by the Appraisal Review Board to the County Tax Assessor, Ms. Elodia Garcia. And there's an updated agenda item that was placed at your credenza that does include, the second page is the letter from Ms. Garcia stating that she has did receive these values and she is accepting these values. And that is what we will be approving this evening.
Does everyone have the additional information? Okay. So we're going to deal one action. Will it take care of one item or?
One, yes, we'll do them all separately. Yes, this is just
okay.
This is just to
So the first item is consideration to approve the tax roll and tax collection certification
correct.
by Tax Assessor Collector. Any questions from board members? Hearing none.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the district certified appraisal rolls for tax year 2024 and anticipated collection rate and the total estimated amount collectible as presented by Ms. Elodia Garcia.
With the recommendation, I'll entertain a motion for approval. Motion made by Mr. Galindo, seconded by Amy Haynes. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Next item is consideration to approve the no new revenue tax rate and voter approval tax rate for tax year 2024.
Good evening once again. Section 26.04 of the Property Tax Code requires that an officer or employee designated by the governing board must calculate the no new tax rate and the voter approval tax rate for the taxing unit. Those calculations have been done. I am the board has. I am the one who calculates those. I am the designated person. Again, I have provided you an updated agenda item. Attached to it, it does have the calculation worksheets that I did. They have been reviewed by Moat Casey, our revenue consultants. And for the 2024 year, our no new revenue tax rate is 0.899487 cents, and our voter approval tax rate is 0.9363 cents. These worksheets will be shared with the county tax assessor in order for them to post on their website as well as on our website.
Question from board members? I guess my only question is, we used to have a newspaper and we used to print all of these on our newspaper. So with the social media, that suffice?
Yes, so we did earlier, we have to do that when we did the public hearing back in June, and we did post those. We post them in the Uvalde, and then we also post on the 8:30 Times and on the school website, and that suffices.
Do we have to do these as well?
No.
No.
That public hearing took care of that posting. I do have to post them on our school district website.
Okay,
So these will be posted along
Okay.
with the ordinance when we adopt that.
okay. No question from board members, so you want to read the recommendation for item B?
Yes, sir. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the no new revenue tax rate and voter approval tax rate for tax year 2024 as calculated.
For the recommendation, I'll entertain a motion for approval. Motion made by Mrs. Webb, seconded by Mr. Diego Almaraz. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Item 13B, consideration to adopt the 2025 ordinance setting and M&O tax rate and the INS tax rate. Amy Childress.
Good evening once again, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. The item you have before you, again, is an update. Attached to it is the ordinance to adopt the tax rate. This evening, we are proposing a 0.748600 cents maintenance and operation tax rate and a 0.187700 interest and sinking tax rate for a total tax rate of 0.936300 for the 2024 tax roll. This tax rate will raise more taxes for maintenance and operations than last year's tax rate, and the tax rate will effectively be raised by 0.44% and will raise taxes for maintenance and operations on a $100,000 home by approximately negative $2.30.
Why do you have to make it so complicated?
So I think,
Question?
yeah,
Sure felt.
so that's why I teach history and government, not math. The tax rate that we're gonna set here in a second effectively raise by 0.44%, but it negatively pulls in on a per valuation on a $100,000 home.
Yes, sir. So that statement is very complicated. It is comprised of actually the effectively be raised by 44%. It is actually comparing the tax rate to the rate to maintain rate, which is part of the calculations that I have to do, but we don't necessarily, it's attached to the memo on the back. So it's not, so that is the first comparison. That's the 0.44%. However, the raising taxes for maintenance and operations on a $100,000 home by approximately negative $2.30, that is comparing our M&O rate from the prior year of the 75.09 cents to the 74.86 cents M&O rate that we were proposing to adopt for this year. So when you take the total of those, you take the 75.09 times 100,000 divided by 100, you would have paid taxes of $750.90. If you take the $74.86 that we will be adopting for this year on a $100,000 home, you would be paying $748.60. So therefore, it is raising taxes by a negative $2.30. That is just the statement that is in the statute.
Okay, because I know the recommendation has to specifically say something, and it ends with, which is effectively 4.09% increase in the tax rate.
So,
And then you have this that the president and the secretary have to sign that says it's actually negative $2.30.
yes, sir. So that is the third calculation it is comparing it to. The 4.09% rate is comparing the no new revenue rate of the 89.9487 cents that we just voted on with our total rate of the 0.9363 that we are proposing as our total tax rate. That is where you get the 4.09% raise. Yes, sir.
Fun. Okay.
If you say so. We're not mathematicians, you can tell. I just want to make sure, that this is all correct and, the chief appraiser sends certified values and so forth. So it's all going by certain formulas. And it's difficult to understand because of the wording.
Yes, sir, it is.
There being no other questions, want to read the recommendation? Dr. Rios?
I'm sorry, Ms. Childers, was it one of these items that needed a roll call vote?
So this item, I do have to have a 60% supermajority vote. So if we could do.
Do a roll call vote, sir.
Okay. On this last item?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you want to read the recommendation first?
Yes, sir. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the 2024-2025 ordinance setting the M&O tax rate and the INS tax rate. I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 0.936300 cents, which is effectively a 4.09% increase in the tax rate.
I'm sorry, ma'am. A board member needs to make that,
Okay.
read the part I move.
Okay.
So, anybody?
I'll do it.
Can we-
I move the property tax rate be increased by adoption tax rate of 0.936300, which is effectively a 4.09% increase in the tax rate.
Heard the recommendation. Is there a second to the motion? Mrs. Webb? Okay, now we take a vote. Becky Chavez? In favor?
Yes, in
Against?
favor.
In favor?
Yes.
Mr. Diego Almaraz?
For.
In favor? Okay, Mr. Overfeld?
Aye.
Okay, in favor? And by myself, also for. Mr. Galindo?
In favor.
Okay. And Amy Haynes?
For.
Also in favor. And Mrs. Webb?
In favor.
Okay, 7 affirmative votes. Yes, Dr. Rios.
I don't know if I'm going to muddy the waters more, Ms. Childress, but I know it's very complicated, but at the end of the day, the governor has pushed legislation through to compress the tax rate. So the tax rate itself is less. But unfortunately, everybody's property values go up, so you end up paying either the same or a little bit more tax dollars is what you actually end up paying. Unfortunately, then the state comptroller is going to come and even increase the values even more for the purposes of funding to fund us less, and then we'll have to go and challenge that. But that'll come in another couple of months. But for now, the governor did compress the tax rate through legislation, so you're going to pay a little bit less in taxes, but because the property values go up, you still end up paying the same or more.
Well,
I
the
don't know.
motion has passed anyway.
I just wanted to
Unanimous.
clarify it.
Sure. Okay, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
We continue with human resources. We go to item 14B. Discussion possible action to approve revisions to employee job descriptions and evaluation forms. Sandra Hernandez.
Good evening once again, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. So what you have before you are the updated revised job descriptions for Chief Financial Officer, Chief Academic Officer, and Chief Administrative Officer. And these have been revised and updated to include the new duties or the current duties for each of the officers.
I think all of us got a binder at home with all the highlighted new information. We're having to go through this, and it's extensive information. There's a lot of changes that seem like she's going to do it all. So I was asking another board member, Mrs. Webb, that goes through all the employee job descriptions. I just want to make sure that we include all the different functions. As I hope as the funding becomes available, and I'm speaking for myself on this board, that if the legislative session, once it starts in January, allows some additional monies. I've talked to Dr. Rios about this, and we're short in the cabinet staff that hopefully will, after we take care of our employees regarding pay increases and so forth, because it's one of the first options that we wanted to do if we ever get any additional monies. But I realize that the cabinet staff is dwindled down to a few people. And so they're taxied with a lot more responsibilities. I just want to make sure that we include everything in the job descriptions. Questions from board members in regard to Chief Financial Officer? Hearing none, recommendation, please.
Yes, sir. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the revisions and updates to the employee job descriptions and evaluation forms as presented.
So Sandra, these include financial officer, academic officer, and chief administrative officer?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Heard the recommendation from administration. Is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Mrs. Webb, seconded by Mr. Almaraz. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next item we have is item 16, security. 16A, consideration to approve revisions and updates to the San Felipe Del Rio CISD Police Department Policy and Procedure Manual. Mr. Chief Foss.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, members of the board. The item today is a request from the Texas Commission of Law Enforcement to add a new policy that deals with medical and psychological for the to the current school district police policy, and it has to be in effect by September 1st of this year.
Any questions from board members? We have that in our manual. So this is in addition to the procedure manual that all officers have. This will be added to it.
Yes, sir. It'll be added.
Okay.
to the existing police manual.
Does everyone understand? Ms. Webb?
I don't have a question regarding the policy, but I do have a question regarding, do we have the adequate officers that we need for our district, or are we short? I guess that goes to Dr. Rios. I don't know who can answer it.
Mr. Mesa, members of the board, we are short officers because we have vacancies. The discussions that we've had and what I've asked Chief to do is as often as possible when we have vacancies or when people are out is to continue to work with the city and the Sheriff's Department to bring in substitutes to make sure that those areas are covered. But because of limitations within those entities as well, what we end up doing sometimes is borrowing from the high school. But as the vacancies increase from 1 to 3, we're going to borrow from, alternatively, from Del Rio High School and Del Rio Middle School if we don't find substitute officers from the city or the Sheriff's Department. The law stipulates that we have one armed officer per campus, so we're committed to doing that, even if it means having the chief of police or the lieutenant, take on a campus. So, long answer, man, we have enough to meet the letter of the law, but we manned the police department to what we thought would be good coverage for all the campuses and provide the optimal safety. So it's important that we fill those vacancies.
Thank you, sir. And at the same time, I want to thank the Sheriff's Department and the Del Rio Police Department for also stepping in and assisting the district in our needs. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions from Chief Foss? Hearing none. Want to read the recommendation, please?
It is a recommendation for approval from administration for revisions and updates to the San Felipe Del Rio CISD Police Department Police Manual.
So for the recommendation, I'll entertain a motion for approval. Motion made by Mr. Galindo, seconded by Mr. Webb. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, sir. Okay, the time is 7:27 p.m. We're going to go into closed session pursuant to policy 551.074 and 551.071 of the Texas Education Code. If any action needs to be taken, it will be taken upon reconvening into open session. We're now in closed session.
procedure issue, yeah.
Okay, the time is 8:32 PM. We're reconvening to open session. No action was taken in executive. We're down to item 18A. Consideration to approve the personnel report to include the following: new hires, district vacancies, retirements, resignations. Amy Childress.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. It is the recommendation of administration that the Board of Trustees approve the resignations and vacancies and the following new personnel: Noah Garcia, physical education teacher at San Felipe Memorial Middle School; Isela Cortez, fifth grade teacher at Roberto Bobby Barrera Elementary; Laura Jenkins, ELA teacher at San Felipe Memorial Middle School.
For the recommendation from administration, is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Amy Haynes, seconded by Mr. Galindo. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Item B, consideration to approve the position of registered nurse at the district's athletic department. Amy Childress.
Good evening. It is the recommendation of administration that the Board of Trustees approve Edwin Montemayor for registered nurse athletics, Del Rio High School athletics.
For the recommendation, is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Diego Almaraz. Is there a second to the motion? Becky Chavez. Seconded the motion. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Item C, 18C, consideration to approve updates to the non-Chapter 21 contract listing. Amy Childress.
Good evening. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the updates to the non-Chapter 21 listing as presented in closed session.
Heard the recommendation, and again, just that information is included in your packet that we received in the mail. You heard the recommendation from administration. Is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Mr. Galindo, seconded by Mrs. Webb. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. There being no other items, is there a motion for adjournment? Motion made by Mr. Galindo, seconded by Mrs. Webb. All those in favor? Thank you much. We are adjourned. That's unanimous. Thank